Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Purpose February. Thank you for tuning in. Today, we're talking about a super important topic. We're talking about self-sabotaging. And for a lot of people, you're your own worst enemy. Without even knowing it, you're the reason that is keeping you out of your purpose or keeping you from expanding it. So, as I mentioned in, I believe it was my video yesterday, we often have the self-sabotage, first of all, is multi level. So there can be a bunch of different reasons why somebody is doing it. And how that looks is different for people depending on what season of life they're in and their background, their history, all of that type of stuff. I actually have a video where I talk specifically about the different types of self-sabotage and what that looks like. But if you find yourself, you can really determine if you are in a self-sabotaging cycle by really just answering two questions. Do you find yourself oscillating between one extreme to another? I kind of mentioned this in my video yesterday. This is the person who just gets sick of themselves for, sitting on the couch too long, for not being active, for not doing something with their gifts. So maybe they're a writer and they need to be doing that, or a painter, or whatever it is. So they get sick of themselves for doing that. So instead of building it into their schedule and taking it upon themselves to implement these things gradually, they go from that extreme of not doing anything to the other extreme of doing it all the time and without really thinking about sustainability and an end term goal. So in other words, they're sick of not doing that thing or doing too much of something. It can be the opposite as well, where no, I'm doing too much. Now I'm going to go down to doing nothing. So what happens is they get sick of themselves in that position, and they go the exact opposite. Instead of thinking it through and looking at a goal, hey, my goal is actually that that I get back into, for example, playing the piano so that I could play in church. If that's your goal, then there needs to be steps, which we've talked about before throughout this month. A lot of people want to, they're standing at the bottom level. They want to be at the 10th floor, but they're not willing to go step by step in order to get up there. What they want is just to magically appear on the 10th floor, and then they can go about, doing whatever it is. And that's just not sustainable, because if you don't have the stamina to get up to the 10th floor, the purpose of taking the steps is to build your stamina, right? And to build longevity and to actually build this into something that's going to be lasting. So number one, you can tell if you're in a self-sabotaging cycle by answering that question. Number one, do you find yourself oscillating between one extreme to another? And the second one is, do you know something needs to change, so you do the exact opposite of that thing for a short period of time, but then you find yourself going right back to the place that you started? So as I said yesterday, this is the person who's sick of themselves for doing too much, not doing enough, whatever it is. And so then they go to the opposite extreme of, I'm going to do all the things, or I'm going to do none of the things, right? And so what happens is they go that way for quite some time, but it's not sustainable because they didn't take the steps. They didn't actually go step by step in order to build up their stamina, which is part of the reason why there's steps. And making sure that it's going to be not quick lived, right? This is going to be something that you can actually build upon. And so for before you know it, they find themselves right back in the same position. Okay, this isn't sustainable. I can't do this anymore. And so instead of looking at why they're in this cycle, they just determine, okay, that's not meant for me. I guess that's not how it's supposed to be. I guess God doesn't want me to do it. Literally will make up any type of reasons for why they're in this cycle still, instead of just understanding that the plan wasn't a good plan. It wasn't built on sustainability, and it wasn't built on longevity. And instead it was 0 to 60. This is an excellent recipe for injury as well. So in the natural, in my physical body, if I don't run at all, but I decide there's, a 10K coming up Saturday. Well, today is Wednesday. It's not going to be a great day for me to decide that I'm going to enroll in the 10K and go for a 6-mile run. So that's actually a good way for me to injure myself, isn't it? The same is true no matter what we're talking about. What happens is these cycles repeat, and so then this causes wounds to us internally. We start believing lies. We start believing we're not going to ever be successful, and blah blah blah. That actually affects the things that we are doing well right now. So we could have an excellent family life. Maybe we're a really good parent. We're a really good spouse. But because of this one cycle that we can't seem to break, and again, this has to do with a bad plan, not because the person is incapable. It's because they believed a lie for so long that they just want to get rid of that lie. And instead of taking step by step, they're just sick of being in that situation, so they want to go to the extreme. This causes wounds in the person, like I said, and it can cause other issues. I mean, it often does in other areas of their lives where they are doing things very well. So self-sabotaging ends up being not just like in one area, like with your diet or with your finances or with your relationships or whatever, but it actually seeps into the things that you do very well, which starts to reinforce the lie. And again, these cycles are kind of self-feeding at this point. So today I want you to look through we need these videos build on each other. If you're new here, I've been doing a video every single day this month, teaching you things that you can do to start preparing for and walking into your purpose, or expanding it if you're already there. And so you need to do them in order, because they're built in order. And today we are going to take a look at our past homework of habits, skills, the passions, that you've already written down. And then I also just want you to think about your history in general, your memories that come up as you're thinking about these things. I want you to find the places that fit the description I just gave you. Where did you try but seemingly failed? Sometimes it's not because we didn't have this skill, or we didn't have the right connection, or we didn't have whatever it was. It was that we just didn't have the right plan. We didn't actually build it into our schedule in a sustainable way. We just wanted to go. I'm so glad. Thank you, Kristen. I love your channel. You're smart, wise, and helpful. Thank you, Kristen. Thanks for tuning in. And so sometimes it's not because we didn't have the necessary tools, the skills, the connections. It's just because we didn't have the right plan. And because of that, we believe that when we start again, we're going to get the same outcome. But that's not true. If we have a plan this time in place that is different than the ones we've had before, and we have accountability, I'm going to get to that portion of it. I think tomorrow we talk about why accountability is so important. I think it's the next day. Regardless, we will talk about why you need to get other people involved in your plan. And that's it for today. So what we're going to do today is, again, we're going to find those places of where we started something and it didn't ever seem to kind of stick. And I want you to answer the questions that I gave you at the beginning of this video and ask yourself if you are actually creating a self-sabotaging cycle for yourself, not because of again, something that you need outside of you, like a skill set or knowledge or whatever, a connection, but rather because of the way that the plan was implemented. And again, this is just one of the ways that self-sabotage comes about. You can actually check out the video where I talk about many different reasons why. One of them is lack of identity, right? Sometimes we just don't know who we are, and so then we're just trying to do in order to receive validation for who we are. I will put the link to that video in the description of this one as soon as I am done recording here. And if you guys don't know already, I host a podcast with my friend Pastor Justin Akers. We do it one Wednesday a month, the last Wednesday of every month. We've been doing it for over a year. Go check us out. It's on his channel. And so that will be coming up today. We do it live every month. And I will see you guys tomorrow for another video of Purpose February.